Welcome back to Global Currency, the podcast that turns financial complexity into clarity. I'm your host name, and today we are tackling a topic that causes anxiety for millions, legally and efficiently moving U.S. dollars across international borders. It feels like an impossible maze sometimes.
It absolutely does, hostname, and that anxiety is real because the stakes are high. We're talking about people's savings, their investments, and their family support. I'm guestname, a global finance strategist, and I'm ready to demystify this critical process.
Wonderful. Let's start with the big picture, guestname. Why is sending dollars abroad so difficult? We live in a globalized world, yet the moment that powerful river of U.S. dollars hits a border, it feels like it's slamming into a regulatory dam.
That's a perfect metaphor, a regulatory dam. And the reason it exists is rooted in global security and accountability. This isn't designed to stop you, it's designed to protect the integrity of the entire global financial system. The biggest hurdle isn't the technology, it's the legal and tax framework.
So it's less about wires and more about paperwork. What are the key terms listeners absolutely need to know?
You need to know your gatekeepers, AML and KYC.
Anti-money laundering and know your customer.
Exactly. Think of the international system as a highway network. Every transfer is a vehicle, and AML and KYC are the toll booths. KYC is showing your ID, proving you are who you say you are with your passport and tax ID. AML is the security guard watching for suspicious packages, monitoring the transaction volume and pattern to ensure that it aligns with your normal financial profile.
So if I, say, transfer $20,000 when I've only ever transferred $2,000 before, that automatically raises a flag.
Precisely, and this is where the psychological barrier comes in. People fear a suspicious activity report, the SAR, thinking it means they've done something wrong, but often it just means the system is performing its necessary function. The real mistake is failing to declare and justify the funds.
The source of funds. That's the legal shield, right?
That's the only shield. You must be able to confidently answer, where did these dollars originate? Savings, sale of property, and inheritance. The law demands that the funds leaving the country must be legitimate and that taxes have been paid on them already. My actionable tip here is simple. Before you initiate any large transfer, organize the documentation. Proof of sale, payroll receipts, have that legal shield ready. It reinforces your trustworthiness with the institution.
Core discussion, channels, and costs. All right, once we have the legal foundation, we can look at the channels. Let's start with the classic, traditional banking. We're talking about SWIFT transfers.
SWIFT is the foundation. It's reliable, robust, and offers an impeccable banking record, which is great for compliance. Think of it as the world's oldest and most secure postal service. It doesn't move the physical money, it moves the highly secure instructions on where to send the money.
But that security often comes at a price and a lack of speed. I once did a transfer that took 5 days and the final amount was lower than expected. Where did that money go?
That's the perfect example of the hidden costs. When you see a bank fee of $40, that's just the visible tip of the iceberg. The rest is hidden in two places. First is correspondent bank fees. SWIFT often routes through several intermediary banks, each deducting a small commission, say $15 to $50, that you don't see up front.
The middleman fee.
Yes. And second, and this is the bigger one, the exchange rate margin. Your bank doesn't use the rate you see on Google, the interbank rate. They apply a selling rate that includes a margin of maybe 1 to 3%. It's an invisible transfer fee. It's like paying a higher price for a ticket simply because you bought it at the lobby window instead of online. Over large amounts, that margin absolutely consumes your wealth.
That's a great analogy. So how do we bypass the lobby window? Enter the fintech revolution.
The fintech revolution is all about transparency and speed. Companies like Wise or Revolut didn't reinvent the wheel, they reinvented the infrastructure using a peer-to-peer or local account netting model.
Explain that netting model simply.
Let's say you want to send $5,000 from New York to a friend in London. Instead of wiring the dollars across the Atlantic, the platform takes your $5,000 from your New York account. Simultaneously, it uses its pool of euros in Europe to deposit the equivalent into your friend's London account. The money itself never physically crossed the border, only the promises of payment are crossed in the accounting ledgers.
So they save money on intermediary fees and pass the savings on, offering the mid-market exchange rate. It's brilliant. But can I use these for large investment transfers, say $50,000?
You can, but this brings us back to strategic thinking. For smaller, frequent remittances under $10,000, fintech is king. For genuinely large amounts, especially for funding your own investment account abroad, the SWIFT transfer still offers a greater layer of banking authoritativeness. The record that your local bank sent $50K to a regulated international brokerage firm for the purpose of investment is often cleaner and easier to defend to a tax auditor.
So small, frequent personal transfers, fintech. Large, official investment-related capital movements, consider SWIFT, but be very clear on the costs.
Exactly. And then there's the crypto frontier, stablecoins.
Digital dollars, USDC, USDT, how does that fit into a legal framework?
Stablecoins are like tokenized dollar bills, maintaining a one-to-one parity with the USD. For those with higher technical expertise, this is an ultra-efficient 24/7 way to move capital without bank cutoff times. You buy the stablecoin on a regulated exchange, send it to a wallet abroad, and the beneficiary sells it for their local currency on their local exchange.
But the key word there is regulated exchange.
Absolutely. The movement of stablecoins is not anonymous to the authorities. The exchange where you buy and sell is responsible for AML and KYC. The legality hinges on you declaring the purchase and sale of those crypto assets on your tax returns. Avoid P2P operations for significant capital movements. Use regulated, transparent exchanges.
Psychological and practical tips. All right, let's shift to the emotional and strategic side. The number one fear for anyone moving money is that it will lose value, either through fees or through market moves. It's the factor of inflation and FX risk.
That's the silent thief. Inflation erodes your purchasing power while you sleep. The goal of sending dollars abroad is not just moving them, but placing them in jurisdictions or assets that generate a return higher than global inflation.
And then there's timing the market, trying to guess if the dollar is high or low against the euro or the yen. That feels like gambling.
It is gambling, and we want to remove luck from the equation. That's where we apply the dollar cost averaging, or DCA strategy. Instead of moving $20,000 all at once, a single, potentially unlucky shot, divided into, say, $4,000 or $5,000 transfers spaced over 4 months.
So you average out the exchange rate. You might catch a high, but you'll probably catch a low too, guaranteeing a better overall rate than one-time panic transfer.
It minimizes that emotional risk. It's an act of planning, not reaction. And finally, for anyone looking at long-term investment, the cleanest strategy is establishing an international account, or better yet, a brokerage account with a major firm like Schwab or Interactive Brokers.
Why is the brokerage firm often better than a foreign bank?
Because international banks often have very high minimum balance requirements, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. A brokerage firm offers a more accessible entry point, requires the same rigorous KYC, and immediately allows you to diversify your dollars into actual assets. You're not just moving money, you're putting it to work, actively managing risk against inflation and local devaluation. That's the ultimate strategic move.
That is such a powerful message. It moves us from anxiety to strategic action, as you promised. Let's do a quick recap for our listeners.
Absolutely. 3 core lessons. 1, legality is the foundation. Have your source of funds justification documentation ready before you move a single dollar. 2, strategy defines the channel. Use fintech for speed and low-cost remittances. Consider SWIFT for large audible capital movements to regulated accounts. And 3, plan against risk. Use DCA to mitigate exchange rate volatility, and always ensure your dollars are placed in assets that beat global inflation.
Fantastic. Understanding this process isn't an obstacle. It's the map to maintaining total control over your wealth. Guest name, thank you so much for bringing such clear, actionable advice to our listeners today.
My pleasure, host name. The goal is peace of mind, and that comes from transparency and strategy.
And peace of mind is invaluable. That's it for this episode of Global Currency. We'll see you next time.